Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to the class of NBC News, correspondent Kerry Sanders, who I'm pleased to call an old friend. Stick around. Did someone say Carmelitas? So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is the Mr. Media interview. You know, MrMedia.com, MRmedia.com. Stop by and check it out. There are more than 900 archived celebrity and pop culture interviews for your listening pleasure. The show is brought to you today by Audible. Audible is offering Mr. Media listeners a free audiobook download and a 14-day trial offer to give you a chance to check out their very cool service. I love listening to books on tape. If you've never tried it before, actors or sometimes the authors themselves read to you. It's great for the commute, the beach, or even unwinding before bed. You can choose a free audiobook from Audible's enormous library of titles, including today's top NBC-related bestsellers, such as Big Russ and Me by the late Tim Russert, or The Greatest Generation by Tom Brokaw. Here's an excerpt from The Greatest Generation, read by Tom Brokaw.
This generation was summoned to the parade ground and told to train for war. They left their ranches in Sully County, South Dakota, their jobs on the main street of Americus, Georgia. They gave up their places on the assembly lines in Detroit and the ranks of Wall Street. They quit school or went from cap and gown directly into uniform. They answered the call to help save the world from the two most powerful and ruthless military machines ever assembled, instruments of conquest in the hands of fascist maniacs. They faced great odds and a late start, but they did not protest. At a time in their lives when their days and nights should have been filled with innocent adventure,
Today on Mr. Media,
love,
I'll talk to Joel
and the lessons of the workaday world, they were fighting, often hand-to-hand in the most primitive possible conditions, across the bloody landscape of France, Belgium, Italy, Austria.
To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. Mr. Media is recorded live before a courtroom audience of people who think all evidence should be presented with smaller words and in fewer days in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. I've done my best to keep the Casey Anthony case at arm's length from day one. Since becoming a dad almost 15 years ago, I've had no tolerance for real-life or even fictional stories that detail abuse to children. Seeing harm befall your child is every parent's nightmare, and I found the fewer stories of it I absorbed during the day, the better I slept at night. Now that said, I'm setting aside my embargo and discussing child endangerment, abuse, and murder because an old friend of mine and of this show, NBC News correspondent Kerry Sanders, is available to talk about his coverage of the Casey Anthony murder trial that's wrapping up in Orlando, Florida. Kerry, welcome back to Mr. Media.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Good to hear you, and good to see you keeping busy.
Yes, this has been compelling. We're going into 32 days now of testimony, and it may actually be, or at least the defense may be wrapping up today. We'll see.
Well, now, the Casey Anthony trial has been a sensational one, but has the courtroom been quite the circus of other major legal events of our age? And what would you compare it to?
You know, I was thinking about when was the last really big case in Orlando, and I had to go back in my mind and really had to pull the books out and take a look. You know, looking at there was the case of the astronaut who had the diapers and was in the fight with the other astronaut, but that actually didn't go to trial here. They ended up pleading that out, and so actually the last really big case in Orlando was Ted Bundy. Wow. So it's been a long time since we've seen something like this in Florida. Interestingly, Ted Bundy's courtroom, which is now kind of like a history center around the corner here because that's the old courthouse, it's still set up, and in that courtroom there's the table that he sat at the defense table, where he took a pen or something and he etched his name, Ted, into the wood, so it's still there.
Jeez. Now, Kerry, one of the things I always find interesting, and we've talked about this before, is we can see you on these stories that are adrenaline-packed, such as being embedded in Iraq, or detail-filled, such as the Casey Anthony trial. And I wondered if you had a preference of one over the other.
I'm what they call a general assignment reporter, and I love the fact that I am a general assignment reporter because I have variety to my career. I am not simply following the President of the United States around as a White House correspondent, and I'm not just covering, congressional testimony. I have a chance to do a variety of different stories, and I enjoy that. I think that keeps my job especially exciting.
Now, when you say goodbye to your wife in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, the middle of the night because of an assignment, and I'll point out that Kerry's wife is Deborah Sharp, who's written a series of mama novels you should check out. But I'm guessing it's often an open-ended goodbye, like you might be back in a few hours, a few days, a few weeks. How does a marriage endure that kind of time pressure?
Well, we've been married 22 years, and so we've worked it out. We enjoy the time that we are together. Most people have jobs where they go and have a 9-to-5 job or an 8-to-5 job, 8 to 6. Some people work 14 hours a day. So, people are working long hours, and then they wait for the weekend, and the weekend is the time that they spend together. Deborah and I have found a way to enjoy the moments that we have together. So if on a Thursday there is no breaking news in the southeast region of the United States that is calling me away, we will spend Thursday together in the way that most people would spend, Saturday together. So we live for the moment. It means we don't have plans. It means when we want to go to a play, we'll get on our bikes, ride down to the theater, and we'll go up 15 minutes before the play's about to begin and say, do you have any last, will call tickets that nobody came to get, and we'll buy those and go in. So, but we found a way to make it work, and it works great.
Yeah, it does, and she's a lovely woman. You know how I feel about Deborah. So let's wrap up with Casey Anthony, the case. Has anything surprised you during the run of the case, either in the courtroom or outside of it?
I think it's outside that has been the biggest surprise, and that is people who have come here from all over the United States and, quite frankly, even from around the world, and have battled to get into that courtroom, fighting for seats. And, they have tickets, so it sounds like a rock concert when you hear people pushing and shoving and, in some cases punching to get into position. And I think I've been sort of surprised at it. I know that people are drawn to a story like this, and it's live on your internet. It's being streamed on MSNBC.com. It's on various TV outlets. It's on Twitter. It's on Facebook. Everybody has access to the details of what's going on. But I'm surprised that people who've traveled here at their own expense, and some people who have come here and are not leaving until this trial is over, just for a moment to sit in that court and glance at the jury and glance at Casey Anthony and to see it unfold for themselves in person. But you know what? It's a captivating story, so I understand why people have, in many ways, set aside the daily routines of their lives to tune in to see what's going to happen.
Well, folks, listen, you can see NBC News correspondent extraordinaire Kerry Sanders as he covers the nearing end of the Casey Anthony murder trial in Orlando, and you can be sure he'll be back on whatever the next big American story is that follows it. Kerry, thanks for joining us, Mr. Media, today. Give Deborah a hug for us, and hope to talk to you soon.
Pleasure, and thank you very much. I'll talk to you.
Take care. For more original interviews with America's top journalists, surf over to our main website, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. If you've enjoyed today's show, subscribe for free to Mr. Media via email, RSS, or iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. You can also sign up for our free Android mobile app. And you can listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many parts of the Orlando court system. Show your support of Mr. Media by supporting our sponsors, including Audible. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. We're also supported by thepartyauthority.us. Call DJ Ira for all your party entertainment needs nationwide at 1-800-DIAL-DJs, or visit their website, thepartyauthority.us. If you've got an idea for a guest, a comment on today's show, or would like to advertise on Mr. Media Radio, email me directly at bob@mrmedia.com. You can also leave a voice message that might be used on a future Mr. Media show by calling 1-727-498-4711. And unless you live next door to Mr. Media, that might be a toll charge. Finally, you can also follow Mr. Media on Facebook, Twitter, or our new YouTube video channel. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for listening.
Hey, did you know that you can listen to the latest Mr. Media on your phone with the Stitcher app? Stitcher is smart radio for your smartphone. Mr. Media is on demand and on the go with Stitcher. Download Stitcher for your phone today. Get the free download at Stitcher.com. That's STITCHER.com.
Hey, this is Larry Thomas, the Soup Nazi from Seinfeld, and I just want to say, no soup for you, Mr. Media.